We are live from Moody Coliseum. This is Scott Basketball presented by Game On Sports, the Highland Park Basketball pregame show. Will Washington here with Jack Pease as the Highland Park Scots get set to take on the Plano Wildcats in the second round of the Texas High School Basketball playoffs. And Jack, it's going to be a fun one here tonight. You can see it's a packed arena as Lake Highlands and Plano East are deep in this fourth quarter. Lake Highlands up 65-58. And then the Scots will come out here, get ready to tip off against the Plano Wildcats. And Jack, first we got to recap the Tuesday night win that the Scots had. It was the first round of the playoffs. Scots got a huge win against South Grand Prairie. They won 74-50. And going into that game, a lot of people talking about that's going to be a tough first round matchup. You're talking about a team in South Grand Prairie that finished third in their district. Well, it was 2-2 about halfway through that first quarter. And then Jackson Heights just ignited this team. And from then on, they just dominated.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch. You know, like you said, those first round matchups sometimes are kind of a cakewalk. And South Grand Prairie, a historic program, has won state championships, obviously is so highly talented. And we went into that game thinking it's going to be, probably a one-possession game towards the end. Like you said, Jackson Heights in that middle of the first quarter ignited us, went on a couple, maybe a 7 to 10 point run. The Scots were moving offensively. The basketball was flowing. They weren't even shooting that many threes, which is what we have seen so much this year, but the offense was flowing. Defensively took a huge step. That first half, it was 37-10 Highland Park over South Grand Prairie. So we knew what this team is capable of all year, and we talked about it in November and December. You want to be playing your best basketball come playoff time, and as they went into that first round game, they were. And so huge steps have been taken forward for the Scots.
And one of the things that really stood out from that game, and it's really been the case throughout this winning streak, Highland Park's won 8 games in a row. And then if you go back to the Lake Highlands loss that was in double overtime, they ended their regular season, Highland Park did, on a 7-game winning streak. And in that time period, they outscored teams by an average of 26 points a game. They out-rebounded teams by 12.5 a game. Well, they won the rebounding battle on Tuesday night, 33-18. And so one of the things that's just been very common throughout this winning streak, Jack, is they've been dominating on the boards. And if you watch it, it's not just a stat. You see the way that they box guys out. You see the way that they fight for rebounds. You got guys like Jordan Stribling. He leads the team in rebounds, 6.4 a game. Colson Messer, 5.2. Drew McElroy, very underrated rebounder. Been saying it throughout the season. He's just under 4 a game. And when he gets a rebound, it's dangerous because he pushes the Scots in transition. But you know better than anybody, they're emphasizing really cleaning up the glass. Well, they're doing it so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, every single guy for the Scots is coming together and they're rebounding. It's been fun to watch defensively and offensively. It's like you said, there's obviously the notables of Colson Messer and Jordan Stribling and the attack of the rebounding, but this team just plays such good basketball. The ball moves. Defensively, they're in lock. They're communicating. They're blocking out. They're taking advantage of sideline and outside out of bounces. They just do a great job of playing team basketball. They're given a set and a formula by Coach Peeler, and they run it to a T. That's why their success has been at the top this year. They've only taken a few bad losses. They've gone head-to-head with a team we just saw have a tough one against Plano East and Lake Highlands, the #1 team in the state. And this is going to be a second-round matchup that's going to be fun to watch.
So Lake Highlands gets the win tonight, 66-64. And so they were up by a little bit there, but Plano East really made a push at the end there. Some emotions were flaring up down on the court. So this was a thriller. Lake Highlands kind of got scared a little bit here tonight in the second round. And just goes to show you, this region in the 6A playoffs, it is a gauntlet. We've been saying it for weeks. You could kind of see it start to shape up when we saw the rankings. And so Lake Highlands survives tonight. They advance to the third round, so that dream of a fourth game is still alive between Highland Park and Lake Highlands. But Highland Park's going to have to get through Plano tonight. We're going to preview that game in a little bit here. Jack, I want to go back to the rebounding thing real quick. Talking about Tuesday night, Thomas Jackman, leading rebounder for the Scots. I'm really impressed with what he's been doing off the bench. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He had 7, and then Heiss, Walker, and Messer each had 5 rebounds. And so Jackson Heiss getting 9 points. I felt like he really ignited that Scots team. He's the hype man. That's what they call him. He's given the pregame speech. Had 9 points, so not as much as Dylan and Colson, but 5 rebounds. He does so much that doesn't necessarily always show up in the stat sheet. But man, he really, when he starts playing, he can really ignite this team. He really is the hype man.
I completely agree. It's kind of like in the NBA, you think of guys like Patrick Beverley, you think of guys like maybe Jason Terry, J.J. Barea, certain guys that they play their role so well. They may not necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but defensively they're locked in. Offensively, they're a key, intricate part of the team. He can make open shots. And like you said, we had a couple of those left-handed drives to the rim that were just phenomenal. And defensively, he's primarily always guarding the best guard on the wing. He does just such an unbelievable job for the Scots. And like you said with Thomas Jackman, he has taken a huge step forward in the second half of district play. Offensively, he's scoring the basketball. He's playing confidently. He's making his free throws. He's getting rebounds. Like you said, he had 7 rebounds the other night in the first-round matchup. He is going to be a key reason in the Scots' success because we know how good this starting 5 is. But once you start getting further and further along these playoffs, you need guys coming off the bench, playing their role to a T, coming in for 2 to 3 minutes, and doing as well as they can. And Thomas Jackman is performing at such a high level. Super proud of him.
Let me give you one more note on the Tuesday game, then we're going to turn the page to some other things in our Scott basketball pregame show here live at Moody Coliseum, the home of the SMU Mustangs, as the Scots get ready to take on the Plano Wildcats. The Lake Highlands game in Lake Highlands, it was a double overtime thriller. And we hate bringing up a sore subject, but Jack, it was the first thing Coach Peeler said to us after that game. They make a few more free throws, they win that game. And so one of the things that they were emphasizing over that now 8-game winning streak is you got to hit it when you get to the charity stripe. Well, Highland Park, Tuesday night, 16 of 18 from the free throw line, just under 89%. That's what you got to do. That's the kind of improvement you want to see. You can't ask for anything more than that.
No, I completely agree. We've talked about the little things all year. Offensive rebounds, not allowing second chance opportunities, making your free throws, taking care of the basketball. And especially when you get to the back half of district play and playoff time, you want to be playing premier basketball, offensively and defensively. We talked about the rebounding. Now we're talking about the free throws, going 16 for 18 on the free throw line from a very good South Grand Prairie team. If they can keep doing the little things really, really well, they're going to come away with success, not only tonight, but along this playoff run.
Jack, as you know, on this team, it all is going to start with this starting 5. It's a talented starting 5, 4 seniors, 1 junior, and Jordan Stribling. These guys each have a role. You can really see the chemistry that they have going on right now. I had a chance to sit down with each one of the starting 5 for the Scots, get to preview this game, just see how they're feeling about the team so far at this point in the season. So we're going to walk through some of those interviews right here. We're going to start with Drew McElroy, one of the senior captains, the point guard for the Scots. This is what he had to say when I sat down with him yesterday. All right, here was senior captain Drew McElroy getting ready for the Plano game tomorrow night. It's at Moody Coliseum. You've gotten to be there a lot. How's it going to feel to play in front of that crowd at Moody Coliseum?
I think the biggest thing for us is just remembering that we've been in this situation before. We've had numerous, sellout games this year with Lake Highlands and Jesuit, and I think the only difference is going to be the venue. But I think it's a really cool experience for us to get to experience something like that. In my high school career, if you would have been telling me that I'd be playing a playoff game at Moody Coliseum, I would have looked at you and jumped up in joy because, as a kid growing up from this area, there's nothing better than getting to play at, such a remarkable venue and such a great historical place. That's had a lot of memories.
It's a unique second-round matchup. You're playing a top 10 team in the state. You guys currently number 6. And so playing these tough games all the way through the playoffs here, what's the mentality of the team right now? How do you just keep focused one game at a time here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is just remembering, our basic, staples that we go by every day. And that's just, believe in ourselves and ultimately these games are controlled through us. The teams that we play definitely change our style of play and how we're going to guard them and such. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that we remember and emphasize is, our common slogan that we use is "We all we got," and it's quite literal. We're just the 5 of us out there on the floor together, and we love playing together, and that's how it's going to continue being phrased as long as we go on this playoff run.
And so let's just go back real quickly to the first playoff game. Tuesday night, South Grand Prairie. A lot of people saying South Grand Prairie, that's a tough first-round matchup. You guys were dominant from start to finish for 4 quarters. You could really see it on both ends of the floor. There was just an intensity on defense and offense. You guys are really clicking with chemistry right now. How do you just, as a team, continue to stay locked in for 4 quarters? That's just been something that's really defined this team so far. We've seen it with the senior leadership playing that way on both ends of the floor the whole game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is, I mean, we've struggled at times throughout, a 4-quarter game this year. We've had, bad starts. We've had bad starts in the second half. And I think that throughout our 32 or somewhat games, we've been able to really put together what it takes to be locked in for 4 quarters. And also, I think it just comes back to the fact that we all want this so bad. We've been playing together for so long. Some of us been together for 6+ years, and just being able to share the floor together for one last time, I think that in itself is all we need. And, we're locked in because we all want to win so bad, and we just have such a fear of losing that it's just secondhand nature to be so locked in, and it's just going to continue to help keep us all locked in together. So,
Senior captain Drew McElroy, thanks for joining us. Good luck against Plano.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So that's senior captain Drew McElroy, and we are now here on camera. Jack Pease right here with Will Washington. We're live from Moody Coliseum here on SMU campus. To clarify, Jack's not that much taller than me. He's on a stool. I'm on a chair. We're crammed up here. Shout out to our Game On Sports team. Really quick setup here tonight. They made it happen. But let's talk about Drew McElroy, Jack. Just having a phenomenal season. And one of the things that I asked him about in this interview is he's really an emotional leader for this team on both ends of the floor. And you can really see it when you watch the games. You really notice it in person. He's vocal, but it's all starting on the defensive end. I think he's one of the reasons why this team is so locked in on both ends of the floor for 4 quarters.
Without a doubt, I think a guy like Drew McElroy, a senior captain, he's worked so hard to get into the role that he's in, and right now he's performing at the highest of levels. He gets the team involved. He sets up the offense. Defensively, he's locked in. He moves the basketball around. He shoots a 46% three-point clip. That's unbelievable at the high school level, at any level of basketball. This guy's worked so hard. You know him like I do. He would go to the gym at 4 a.m. growing up. And ultimately now he's in the senior year. He's in the second round of the playoffs, and he's playing his best brand of basketball. Coach Peeler's entrusted in him. He's given him the basketball, and he said, hey, this is your team. I really need you to lead. You're not necessarily always going to be the leading scorer, but you're going to score in double digits. We need you to lead defensively, and he's done that just as good as anybody in the state of Texas.
He's familiar with SMU. He's been in this arena, worked out here in the summers, so it's going to be fun for him. One of the things he said in the interview is they just want to keep doing what they're doing. The only thing difference, the venue right here, and as we can tell by the energy in that first game, it makes a big difference. This place gets loud. Think a guy like Drew McElroy, he likes to bring the energy. He's going to feed on it. And one area that I want to see if he can feed on it tonight is, I was mentioning it earlier, he's an underrated rebounder. He's averaging just under 4 a game. There's games where he can get up there close to that double digit, and it's dangerous for the opponent because he can push the pace and really get Highland Park going in a fast court when a guy like him grabs a rebound. And so just talk about that with Drew McElroy, what he can do in the fast break. He's really got this chemistry going right now with these guys.
Yeah, he does an unbelievable job. I feel like we've talked about this a lot this season, the 1-2 punch of him and Stribling. I mean, that guy runs the floor so well. Drew gets the ball off the rebound, off the glass, and he takes one dribble and he lets it fly. And that's what Coach Peeler says. Whether it's a miss or a make, we want to get that rebound fast, we want to outlet it ahead, and we want to try to get quick threes and layups. Especially when you're playing a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", you've got a lot of length for Plano Wildcats. It's going to be a different matchup. You're not used to the 6'5", 6'6", a little shorter offensive scheme, especially with the guard play. Drew's going to be an intricate part in rebounding tonight. Like you said, he's an underrated rebounder. We're going to need all 5 guys to collapse, crash the glass on offense and defensively. And when he gets the ball off the rim, you better turn around because he's going to let it fly. It's kind of like a Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes deal. Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, he lets it out loose to Tyreek Hill. Same thing. Drew McElroy gets the basketball, he lets it loose to any of the 4 starters.
Well, and he's got a receiver in Jackson High, so we've got his interview later on. He's not the next one, but we're going to get to him in a little bit here. But you'll see it. If you pay attention tonight, McElroy, he can hit some of those passes. I mean, it looks like a Patrick Mahomes deal on a full-court pass, and it's such an advantage for this Scots team. The other thing that I think he gives the Scots an advantage is one of the things I observe every season. The longer you go in the playoffs, the tighter that lane gets. It gets so difficult to get passes through the lane because you're dealing with more size, more athleticism. And so a pass that you might be able to make in a district game, the lane's going to be clogged. That's going to be a turnover. One of the things you can see throughout the season is a guy like Drew McElroy, he can get some passes in some pretty tough places. I think that's something that can really help the Scots when they start playing teams like Plano tonight. They're bigger. They're going to clog that lane a little bit more than usual.
Without a doubt. I mean, I was his teammate when I was a senior and he was a sophomore. And one thing that I think he's taken tremendous strides in is that peace and patience as a point guard. Like you said, he makes the pocket passes and dimes off to the bigs really well. I mean, he had a phenomenal pass to Thomas Jackman when Thomas Jackman was running the rim. He comes down on the opposite side and Drew just dumps it off. He's making key plays like that all year. And it's like you said, when you get further along the playoffs, game just gets better. Guys are taller, they're bigger, they're more experienced, they watch film, their breakdowns are better, and they've won at the highest of levels. The Scots have done that since the history of the basketball program, but this team, they've got such a good chemistry. They've been playing together since they were 6 years old. They know how to run the floor, they know where guys are going, how they're cutting to the rim. Drew McElroy is the head of that snake. He gets the guys involved offensively, he makes big shots. Defensively, he's crashing the glass, he's getting rebounds, and he's playing with aggression. Like Will said, this guy is one of the most energetic guys you'll see on the basketball court at any level. He's fired up, he's emotional, and that's exactly how we want him to play tonight.
Another guy who's been making key plays throughout this season, Dylan Walker. We knew what he could do last season coming off the bench. He's hitting threes. I mean, he shot what? I mean, he was in the 50% range a year ago for three, maybe even higher. I mean, it was ridiculous off the bench. This year, he's at 40, just under 43%. He shoots a lot of threes, so that's an incredible statistic. In the 8-game winning streak, he's averaging nearly 18 points a game. He's 16.5 on the season. He's the Scots' leading scorer, really been a leader for them. He's a steady player, and this is what he had to say when I sat down with him yesterday. All right, here with senior captain Dylan Walker. And Dylan, you've been having a great season all throughout. We've been talking about it. Last season you came in, you're hitting a lot of threes. You're still hitting the threes, but you really diversified your offensive game. Just seems like you're playing with a lot of confidence right now. How are you feeling about your game going into this one here against Plano?
I feel good. I feel confident knowing that all my teammates are as locked in as I am. I know we all want to win really bad, and I'm just really grateful that I have a good team, surrounding teammates. So that's all I need.
You guys heard the noise about the Tuesday playoff game, South Grand Prairie, and just how this whole path to the state championship is really going to be a tough road. So a lot of people thought Tuesdays was going to be a little closer than it was. You guys were just dominant from start to finish. What was the mentality going into that one, and how did it feel really to make a statement to everybody?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, I was always confident in our team that we knew we were the better team, but on any given day, anything can happen. And we had a good pregame speech by Heiss up there. He got us hyped up in the locker room, and that helped a lot. And I think it really put in perspective just being a senior. It feels a little bit different than being a junior in playoffs, and I felt the nerves a little bit. But once we got out there, it was smooth sailing. So
we got a fun one here. You're playing Plano, top 10 team in the state. You guys are number 6 right now, and you're at Moody Coliseum. So you get to be under the big lights. It's going to be a lot of fun. What do you guys have to do to win the game? Like, if we look back on that game, you guys do these 1 or 2 things, you're going to have a good shot to win it.
We got to be able to block out, and we got to handle their pressure and just do what we do, make shots. I mean, the offense will come. We just got to focus on defense.
Senior captain Dylan Walker, we got a big one here tonight against Plano. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you afterwards. That's Dylan Walker. Great conversation with him. I mean, was really one of the Scots' top. I'd say he's the 6th man last year. He had one of the best seasons, especially down the stretch. But this season, I mean, he's just taking a leadership role. He's one of the captains. We talk about his diverse game. He's added a lot to it. It all starts with that three-point shot, though. I mean, his three-point shot is ridiculous. He can hit it from anywhere on the floor. He can get it from long range. And when you're in a state tournament like this, if Dylan Walker's hitting threes, Scots are going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, they're going to be really tough to beat. Like you said, Will, I mean, he's an unbelievable shooter. That's what he's been known for his entire career. I got to have the pleasure of watching him this summer play on an AAU circuit with Basketball Means More. This guy can just flat out shoot it. Like we said, last year he shot over 50% from three coming off the bench. I know he had that big game against Roy City, scoring 30 points. You knew what he was kind of going to bring this year, being a leading scorer for the Scots, the primary scorer for the Scots. When he gets the ball shooting from the three-point arc, it just opens up his entire game and this team's game. When he's driving the basketball, when he's getting to his mid-range, when he's shooting the three, this team, this offense is super scary. They're diverse. He's showing a part of his game where he drives the basketball, he finishes through contact, he makes free throws. That makes sense that he's a Lubbock Christian signee. I mean, this guy's an unbelievable basketball player. I've loved to see his game just translate so differently in this past year, where he goes from a really good high school player to a dominant high school player, and that's what he's been doing all season.
The Highland Park Scots have just taken the court out here as The fans are starting to file in. Just heard from Guy Frazier, our friend from 247 Sports. He's here tonight with Ryan Massett, a guy you know really well, and said it's just crazy down there right now. So you can really feel the energy. Scott's on the court for their warm-ups. We're about 17 minutes here from the tip-off. So keep going on Dylan Walker here for a second as we keep walking through some of these interviews. He would say this. He was a little frustrated after the Scots opening game. He didn't quite get the points he wanted to get, and that was something that we knew was going to happen in terms of other teams really game planning for him. Last year, he was coming off the bench in that 6 role. You get some shots a little easier. Well, this year, it's on the film. Every game plan at the top is saying, don't let Dylan Walker hit a 3. So he kind of had to figure it out a little bit. It didn't take him long. He's the Scots leading scorer. Not only is he hitting the 3s, he can punish you around the rim. I've been so impressed with the way he creatively finishes with athleticism at the rim. He can really score in any way he wants to.
You're exactly right, Will. You said it best. I mean, he's so athletic, and he gets to the rim. He has a bag full of finishes. He can get to his right. He can reverse. He has this networking of just unbelievable finishes, and his capability of shooting the basketball, like he said, opens up his entire offensive arsenal. We've seen him score 16.5 points per game this senior season. It's super incredible. He's going to win all district, all region honors. And, I mean, I just love watching him play. You see the fun that he has in the game. And like we said, the beginning of the season, there was a little bit of a trial. You know, he wasn't getting as easy of looks as he was getting last year, like you said. At the scouting report, very top, it's saying Dylan Walker, shooter. Do not let him catch the basketball. But I think the biggest step that he's taken is aggression. I mean, that's the biggest word that comes to my mind. He is so aggressive when he gets to the paint. Coach Peeler talks about this all the time. Don't let the man stop you if he's going to stop you. And he just goes by him every single time. He goes by him, whether it's to his right or to his left. He finishes high off the glass. He gets to his floater, his mid-range. And he does a good job of getting fouled, especially this back half of the season. He's been getting fouled. He's been getting to the free throw line. His offensive arsenal is electric. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do tonight, and so thankful for having him on this team because he's been an offensive spark, a weapon, huge production from him all year.
Yeah, it's this interesting balance where you want to really bring the energy, you want to play with the motion, but you also have to be steady. I think Dylan does that almost as good as anybody I've seen in this program. He's fired up after a big play. He really just reads the momentum well. He knows when to be really steady, knows when to fire people up. So he's having a great season. Jackson Heiss, another guy, we've been raving about him since the football season. He came in playing receiver for the Scots football team. And I just feel like he does so many things that aren't noticed, one of which that we don't get to see necessarily in the game. He is the hype man. He's given the pregame speeches. This is what he had to say about it when I talked to him yesterday. I hear with senior captain Jackson Heiss. Jackson, you said it after the game when we were talking, and all these guys have been talking about it. You're kind of the hype man for the team. You got everybody really fired up. What'd you say to him before the game to get him going here?
I just kind of told him we've been working all year for this, and so there's no reason to be scared and just to be confident going into the game.
It's not easy to go from football to basketball. I played receiver on the football team. So for you, you've been in this competitive mode, playing in these games and some tough ones, some physical ones on the football field, and then twice a week here for basketball. How do you just maintain that as an athlete, that level of competition for this many months right now?
I think football really helps bring kind of the physicality to basketball, and like those hype speeches, they were in football too. So just bring that whole kind of mindset of like we have to win over to basketball, I think really is pervasive on the team.
So against Plano here, really big game in the second round. You guys get to be at Moody Coliseum, which is a lot of fun. How's it going to feel to get to be in an environment, in an arena like that one?
It'll be great. I've grown up going to SMU games like most of our team has, so just to get a chance to be under the big lights, it'll be fun for sure.
All right, give us one thing that you guys need to do against Plano to get the win and advance to the third round.
We need to get some stops. Coach B's been drilling us all week. We need to get defense is the #1 priority.
Senior captain Jackson Heiss having a great season. We'll see you tonight against Plano.
Thank you.
That's Jackson Heiss. You're looking right now at the Highland Park Scots warm up. This is the Scott basketball pregame show presented by Game On Sports. Will Washington up here with Jack Pease. We are live from Moody Coliseum, launching the first pregame show of the season. And Jack, I didn't need to get any more fired up for this one, but this is just increasing the energy. You can feel it in the gym. The student section for the Scots is starting to fill up here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got to keep talking about these starters as we preview this game. The last senior starter, it's Colson Messer. He's a guy that you played with when he was a sophomore. You were a senior. He had a key role that season coming off the bench. and he has just had a dominant season. Going to be playing at Vanderbilt next year. He's been just outstanding, a huge leader for the Scots. And this is what he had to say when I sat down with him yesterday. I'm here with senior captain Colson Messer. And Colson, you've been really just leading this team along with these other captains throughout the season, and you can really see it going into this one. What do you guys have to do to get the win here tonight against Plano?
Plano's a really good team. They got some really good players. It's going to be a really tough game. But I think if we just do our thing, stick to our offense, and really block out, get rebounds, and take care of the ball, and just do what we need to do to win, what we've talked about, I think we'll get the win.
It's a pretty awesome opportunity to get a play in front of Moody Coliseum. It's going to be a really big crowd, a lot of energy. What's it going to feel like to be in that kind of an environment here in the second round?
I'm just super excited to experience. We've played in sold-out crowds multiple times this year. It's been really fun. But I think Moody is a little different just with how much of a stadium it is and how different it's going to feel. We just shot there yesterday, and it felt a little different shooting. So I'm excited just to adjust and really get to compete in that environment.
One of the things we've seen over this I believe, 8-game winning streak is you guys have just been dominant. You've been locked in for 4 quarters, really from start to finish. Talk about just the mentality of this team right now. It seems like everything's really clicking, and the chemistry is just at an all-time high right here.
Yep, I think right now it's just preparation. Like starting after Lake, that loss hurt, but we really took it on upon ourselves. It's like, that's our last loss of the season. We can't have another one. And so every game we prepped and we were ready and went out there and dominated. And just like last game, how we really thought South Carolina was going to be a really good game. We were more prepared than them, and really just showed that we were more ready to win than them. And I think hopefully we can do that again tonight.
One of the challenges is that there's so much noise right now. There's a lot of talk about this is a really tough road. These teams are really good. People telling you how good you guys are. People talking about, oh, you could rematch Lake Highlands in a few weeks. How do you keep everybody focused and really just block out the noise and keep doing what you're doing and enjoy the journey in the process?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to enjoy the journey, but then also block out all the noise and really focus on one game at a time. I know last year in the third round, we were really focused on the fourth round opponent, and we ended up losing in the third round. And so this year, just with that experience, all of us, we kind of put that to use and really focused on, hey, like this is who we have on Friday. We can't worry about anything else. Anything else going on does not matter. Rankings don't matter. Whatever anyone picks does not matter. It's us, and that's all that matters, and we know what we need to do to win.
Senior Captain Colson Messer, thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight. So that's Colson Messer. And how about that professional end of the interview there? He's putting the hand out, getting the handshake right there, looking at the camera. It just looks like a pro. Colson Messer, and he's just having a great season for Highland Park.
Yeah, he's done an unbelievable job. I had the pleasure of being his teammate when I was a senior captain and he was a sophomore. And man, he was a bright spot then. He would come off the bench. He played an intricate role in our team, having a really deep playoff run. The guy is just unbelievable on and off the basketball court. He's the identity and the essence of Highland Park basketball. He's consistent. He comes to work every day. He's the first guy in the gym. He's the last guy to leave. He's just unbelievable, and you can see really the transformation in his body over the past 3 years. The guy looks like Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, he's just jacked. He's shredded. He fights off rebounds. He gets the ball. He fights in the post. He can make big shots. He does everything well. He plays his role. He's the second leading scorer for the Scots, and he's really an all-district, all-region player. Like you said, he's going to Vanderbilt to play. He's an unbelievable basketball player. He's a huge part of this team. Really the glue guy and Mr. Consistent, I would say. Like, every single game we talk about how consistent he is with his shooting capability, shooting right under 41% from three, and also just his knack to score and his will to win. He fights on defense. He's on the floor grabbing balls. He does everything in his willpower to win a game, and that's why the Scots are this successful. For guys like him and Dylan being consistent, this starting lineup has been so fun to watch all year, and this senior-led group.
He's following in our footsteps in the weight room, Jack, and that's not a surprise right there, but really, the other thing with him, and it's something you see off the court, is he really takes pride in leading every one of his teammates. He serves them, he leads them, and he wants to get the most out of them. And I've just heard him talk about how each of these guys, he believes in all of them. He wants to see every one of them flourish. And so I've been so impressed with him as a leader. He knows kind of what buttons to push. He knows what motivates a guy like Jordan Stribling that might be different than a guy like a Jacob Ario, who's a sophomore on varsity this season. He's just been so good at leading these guys throughout the season. So he's a guy that, no question, you want to go to battle with him here on a playoff run. He's got such a good mentality for this. And looking down there right now, you can tell he is locked in. He's been hitting some threes down there in warm-up. So really expect him to have a big game tonight. They're going to ask a lot out of him because we'll preview the game in a second, but Plano's got some really talented guys, especially in the paint. And so it's going to be important. And that leads us to the last starter, a guy who has been dominant in the paint this season, the one junior, Jordan Stribling. He's committed to play baseball as a pitcher at the University of Texas, which as a Sooner hurts me a little bit right there, but maybe there's still time. I don't know. But he is an outstanding athlete. That's the thing that's really impressive about him is he's so powerful in the paint, but he's also such an incredible athlete. He can defend up top in that 1-3-1. And so this is what he had to say when we sat down with him yesterday. Here with junior Jordan Stribling, the lone junior that's starting on this very senior-heavy team. What's it like being that one junior that's having really a pretty crucial role this season?
I hate to always bring up baseball. The last year in baseball I was only sophomore, so like I'm used to it. And I love all the seniors. Like this is my favorite team I've ever played with, like any sport-wise. And so like we have great chemistry, and like I'm fine with being the only junior, especially because I get to play.
And one of the things we've seen with you just in getting to play is that it just seems like your confidence has increased throughout the season. And we see it on both ends of the floor. We see you swatting down shots, but also dunking, having these highlight reel plays. How's your confidence just continued to grow throughout this season here?
I think last year is when I was on JV is when I gained most of my confidence in basketball, because like I'd dunk it and like I'd slowly be able to like be like, oh, I can actually dunk it without like being nervous about it. Just like I just kept doing it, and like it moved on to this year over the summer as well. And every game I feel like I get more confidence. Like even last game, like I was a little nervous before the game, but that's just because it's first playoffs. And since now I've gotten through the first game, I'm like, okay, I feel more confident.
Yeah, playing Plano here in the second round. It's a top 10 matchup in the state of Texas, which is pretty rare for a second round matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you know it, as you guys continue to make this journey, you're playing against teams that they start getting bigger, they start getting more athletic, and the lanes get a little bit tighter, gets more physical in the post where you're going to be playing a lot. What do you guys have to do against Plano here to advance to the third round and get the win?
Definitely be really physical. They're a big team, really physical. I think the most important thing is to take wide open shots, good open shots on offense, and make them take bad shots contested on defense. I think it's the best way to win.
One more for you here. You guys are just clicking right now. You can really see it in that first round game against South Grand Prairie. The defense was locked in for 4 quarters, but offensively, there's just quick passing. You're getting a lot of different guys involved. You can just see that there's a whole lot of chemistry. What's allowed you guys to get to this point where it just seems like you even know where each other are going to be at any time in the game?
So we just try and like space out the floor, and we just have confidence in each other to know exactly where we are in practice. We work on it every day. We just know like everyone's strengths, weaknesses, and we just play to our strengths. So that's the best way of how we have good chemistry.
I got to ask you this one. You've had some highlight reel dunks this season. We're at Moody Coliseum playing Plano. It's going to be a big crowd. It's an awesome venue. We're going to try to throw one down here tonight at Moody Coliseum.
100%. I mean, I wouldn't say it. I mean, I'm going to say it. A dream. It'd be a dream to do it. It'd be awesome. Get cameras everywhere and then post it everywhere for the world to see.
It'll be fun to watch. Junior Jordan Stribling having a great season. Good luck against Plano. We'll see you afterwards. I love Jordan Stribling there at the end. He was talking about how it'd be such a dream to get to throw down a dunk here at Moody Coliseum, and it was fun seeing him talk about that, and I'd expect him to have a big game. It's not easy to be a starter as a junior. I mean, you know what it's like to play when you're a little bit younger here. He's just been having an outstanding season.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, Will. I mean, I feel like we talk about him as the human highlight reel, the Sports Center top 10, his thunderous dunks. I mean, he comes down with two-handers all the time. He cleans up the glass with blocked shots. He's really been just so consistent, kind of like Cole Semester this whole year. Offensively, you know what you're going to get out of him. And so that's kind of the beautiful thing is sometimes he has these sparks where it's like 19 and 10, and you're like, wow, this guy's a baseball player. This could be a Division I college basketball player, but he's been so fun to watch. He's so steady, kind of like Dylan Walker. You know, he doesn't really show too much emotion, but he's always playing hard. He's diving on loose balls. He's getting rebounds. He's dunking the basketball. He's been so important for this team all year, and as the only junior starter, I mean, it's going to be fun to see if he comes back and plays basketball next year.
I want to go back to Jackson Heiss. We kind of sped past him there. We were trying to manage our time, and we had talked about him a little bit earlier, but let's go back to him. Jack, I mean, you know what it's like before high school, you played multiple sports. You were playing football, you were playing basketball. That's not easy to do. That takes a lot of athleticism, and I was talking to him about that. It's really difficult. He's had to sustain a very high level of competitiveness really since the summer, playing football, going on a playoff run, switching right to basketball, and trying to play at an elite 6A level. That says a lot about you as an athlete if you're able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable. He's like, a guy like Colson and Drew. I got the pleasure of being a teammate with as well as a sophomore, and I mean, you can just see his athletic capabilities. Football, he's a monster on the football field. He catches everything. He runs great, crisp routes. And like you said, it is mentally taxing and draining on your body to start in June and say, I'm going to have to be competitive all the way through football season, all the way through basketball season. We're almost getting to March, and he's still the number one competitor on the team. He's guarding the Trey Johnsons of the world. He's guarding everybody. He's playing good defense. He's athletic on the offensive glass. He's making three-pointers. He's been intricate in this team's success, and it's so fun to watch him and really just thrive in his role as a senior captain. I love him as a person, as a friend, as a teammate, and the guys are going to take a huge role and a huge hit next year when not having him on the team.
Got about 1:20 left in this warm-up right here. This is the Scott Basketball pregame show presented by Game On Sports. Will Washington here with Jack Pease as we are live from Moody Coliseum, the home of the SMU Mustangs, as the fans continue to file in right here. And Jack, we're going to preview this one. Scott's playing the Plano Wildcats tonight. The UIL rankings, Highland Park coming in at number 6. Plano coming in at another number 10. Now, it was brought to my attention by some Highland Park players that in the Gasso poll, Plano is actually ahead of Highland Park. They're number 7, Highland Park's number 8. And so they're kind of using that as fuel, as a little underdog a little bit there, which is unsurprising. Point being, these two teams, they're top 10 teams in the state of Texas. This is a tough second-round matchup right here tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, I mean, I feel like Highland Park, as a player and now as a fan in the community, you've seen this for everybody's career. Highland Park is always kind of an underdog. And as a player, you take pride in having status, having awareness of who you are, where you fall in the roster. And, like you said, 7 and 8, there's not that big of a difference, but still, as a player, you take pride in that. And this is going to be a matchup these guys want to come out and win for their communities. We've talked about it. 11 out of the 13 guys on this roster are seniors. They're going to come out in their home court at SMU and do whatever it takes to win here tonight.
That'll do it for us here from the Scott Basketball pregame show presented by Game On Sports. Will Washington here with Jack Pease. Next up is the tip-off of Highland Park and Plano.